so much. Thank you. About a year ago, I'm walking my daughter home from school, and my wife and daughter and I live in Brooklyn. There's all these smoke shops there, and they have these cutesy names like Blazy Susan, and Yes We Cannabis, and my daughter Una looks up. She's 9 years old. She looks up at the name of one of these shops, and she goes, "Dad, what's the Good Life?" And I was like, I don't even know. It's not what I'm doing. But then it was one of those moments where I'm like, oh, I should try to explain drugs as best I can. It's like, well, you know, some people use drugs and they sort of make your brain happy, but it's sort of a fake happy. And you don't want to get too happy because then you got to use more drugs to get it as happy as it was the first time. And then the 8th or 9th time, you're in real trouble. Anyway, Mom and I use them sometimes. Not often, mostly when we were younger. Not your age, like 3 years older than you are now. And of course, I have to explain drugs to my daughter, but I don't. No one explained it to me. My parents didn't explain it. The closest thing to it was in 6th grade, they had the D.A.R.E program. And it was the 80s. It was an acronym that stood for Drug Abuse Resistance Education, which sort of feels like it was written by someone on drugs. You know, like, it's got to be 4 words, but we know what the D is. We're printing the shirts on Monday. You know, it was a very shirt-driven campaign, and those shirts are worn, ironically, to this day by people actively on drugs. And before the D.A.R.E program, I had not considered using drugs. And once they laid out all the options, I was like, I should try these drugs and make an educated decision, because they made it sound pretty exciting. They were like, kids are gonna come up to you. I was like, keep talking. Like, kids hadn't come up to me. This was the most exciting social development of my childhood. Kids are gonna come up to you. They're gonna offer you crank and boomers and angel dust. I was like, angel dust? I was a 6th grade altar boy. I was like, I shall try this angel dust. Soar to the heavens aside my Lord Jesus Christ. To this day, I have not been offered crank, nor angel dust, nor even cocaine. I've never seen cocaine. I mean, sometimes people don't even believe it when I say that. I work in nightclubs. Not once has someone thought, we should show it to Mike. I was like, what do I look like? That's how people see me. I was in Washington Square Park the other day, and this stranger was walking in front of me, and someone said to that stranger, you got an undercover cop walking behind you. And then he looked back at me, and I looked behind me, and there was no one there. And I said to this stranger, I go, no, which is exactly what an undercover cop would say. So I don't, I've never used recreational drugs. I mean, in college, my friends would smoke pot, but I was the least fun person to smoke with. I was the guy who was like, do you guys hate me? Why does my heart hurt? Is that rickets? Who's at the door? Who's at the door? Who's at the door? Like, it wasn't a good hang. And so I just veered away from all that. But I use prescription drugs. I don't want to, but I have to, because I have a serious sleepwalking disorder. About 20 years ago, I sleepwalked through a 2nd-story window of a La Quinta Inn in Walla Walla, Washington. True story. And when you do that once, they always bring it up when you go to the doctor. And I was diagnosed 20 years ago with this very rare condition called REM sleep behavior disorder. And I've talked about it so much in my comedy specials that when you go to med school and you study sleep disorders in the DSM, the example of REM behavior disorder is me. My dad is a doctor. He wanted me to go to med school, and I didn't. But I'm in there. I basically teach. I went to my sleep doctor a couple years ago, and I mentioned this to him. I go, you know, in the DSM, like, I'm the example of RBT. And he goes, that's not good. I go, what do you mean? We did it. He goes, well, the problem is that I'm not entirely convinced that's exactly what you have. I said, we're going to have to write a mass email. Because there's a lot of people walking around this earth thinking they have Mike Birbiglia disease. Mike Birbiglia might not have it. Can you imagine if Lou Gehrig was like, actually, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I might play baseball again. People would have been furious. That's right, I just compared myself to Lou Gehrig. Now, the reason I bring up the sleepwalking is that 20 years ago, I get diagnosed with REM sleep behavior disorder, and they put me on Klonopin. And I recently went to a new doctor, and she's looking at my chart, and she goes, you've been on Klonopin for 20 years? And I go, yeah. She goes, all right. That is not what you want to hear when you go to the doctor. I go, are you concerned? She goes, well, do you know the side effects? I go, I don't know. She goes, depression, loss of memory, poor motor skills. I said, oh, I just thought that was my personality. Like, it's a strange moment in one's life when you realize your personality is side effects. Because then I'm just like self-conscious about all my daily activities. Like, one thing I do every night before bed is my dosage of Klonopin is 1.5 milligrams. And so I have to break a pill precisely in half. Yeah. You know who shouldn't have a precision task like that? Someone with poor motor skills, because inevitably I break it in half and there's like a pile of Klonopin dust on the sink, and then I'm depressed and I'm crying into the dust, and the tears are merging to form a Klonopin sorbet, and then I lick up. What I perceive to be 0.5 milligram, but definitely isn't 0.5 milligram. So how do I explain that to my daughter? That's the good life. That's what they say. There are so many things I feel like I can't explain to my daughter. Like, she's 9 years old, and it's just getting harder and harder, because when they're younger, it sort of doesn't matter. Like, they're an animated bag of rice, and you just gotta make sure they stay animated. And then, even when they're toddlers, it's a lot of layups. What's that? That's an egg. I'm a genius, you know, but... And my wife doesn't know that much stuff either. She's a poet, I'm a comedian. Together we're a sculptor. We just don't know a lot. I mean, we've read hundreds of books about leaves. We can't explain leaves that well. And And it just started to become very clear to me about a year ago because I get a call from my mom, and she said, Dad was sick this week, and I tried to get him to